And so anyway, hey, well, our global ambassador, Dr. Katrina Ferguson, who made ambassador in 2 hours, without exaggeration. We were speaking at the ambassador roundup, and I looked at her and said, why don't you make global? And all of a sudden, I'm hearing her typing on the computer and stuff. And by a couple hours later, she taps me on the shoulder. She says, hey, Doc, I just made it. I said, you just made what? She said, I made global. I'm like, yeah, right. I check in the back all this. Oh, my goodness. She was global ambassador. So here's a lady who's made millions in the industry, network marketing and real estate, and is an incredible author. And just, my friend, has a heart as big as Texas. She loves to have fun. She's as dedicated and as committed as it comes, and she knows all the facts. So listen, my friend, get something to write on, something to write with. The next voice you hear will be that of Dr. Katrina Ferguson.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Dr. Stan. Good morning, everyone. As he stated, I am Dr. Katrina Ferguson, and I hope you're not just taking notes on the parts that you think you should be taking notes on, because if you listened carefully to what Dr. Stan just did, he did a perfect introduction when you are introducing your prospect to someone that you want them to respect, pay attention to, listen to, and do what they say. Because remember, we are in the direct sales industry, and edification is crucial. It's a crucial part of that third-party edification. And I'm prayerful that we'll start to really do some training in that area, because when I get on a recruiting call, and I realize that most of the people on the call are actually already distributors, it's an indication that we are not appropriately or properly contacting and inviting or edifying the speaker that's going to be sharing the information, so that people don't understand, one, the sense of urgency for getting on the call, or they don't understand why they need to be on the call in the first place. They don't want to hear from that person. They don't understand why it's important for them to hear from that person, which means that we aren't doing the best job at edifying the speaker, edifying the information, and contacting and inviting people to get on the call. So I know that last week I said we were going to talk about how to get those health care coverages taken care of. We're going to do that, but time allowing, at the end, I want to talk a little bit about contacting and inviting, because I'm going to be doing the 12 o'clock noon recruiting call, and it's designed to help you build your business, right? It's designed to help you get people not just excited about the product. We're doing an amazing job at that. People are using the product. They're buying the product. Lives are being changed. Health is being exploded. People are becoming healthier and healthier every single day using our products. What we aren't maximizing is the opportunity to build our businesses. So we want to start picking apart, well, what's happening or what isn't happening? What areas do we need to get better in? And I love the fact, if you're not getting on this call, 5 or 10 minutes beforehand, so that you can hear whatever it is that Coach 100K is playing with, whatever motivator or inspirer. Today it was Les Brown. It's been Jim Rohn in the past. Les Brown, one of my dear friends. He played the portion he played this morning, talked about the fact that you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. You can't see the picture when you're in the frame, which is an indication that a lot of times we're doing things, we think they're great, we think they're working, we think that it's getting us, we should be getting results. Well, I don't understand why it's not working. I'm doing everything right. Well, you're in the frame, and you can't see that. In actuality, you're not doing everything right. And that's why in network marketing, in direct sales, in our industry, in our company, sometimes we have to, not sometimes, all the time, we have to step back. We have to be open. We have to be coachable. We have to forget what we think we know that's not working, and do whatever it is that our coaches, our trusted coaches, those who are vested in seeing us be successful, are telling us to do. Consider this. Dr. Stan there are how many calls a week? A whole lot of them, more than I can count. In order for us to just have the...
Yeah, there's three a day and a webinar every night for the month of July.
So 3 calls a day, a webinar every night. Now, do a little self-assessment, right? This isn't me. I'm not fussing. I probably should have asked for permission to coach you, but I'm going to say that because you're on this call, you've given me that permission. And I don't know how to do anything but be kind of like, I kind of have like a mother's anointing. So I kind of like state the obvious and people are okay with it because, I'm only doing it out of love. I want to see you win and win big. I want to see your family win and win big. So if there's 3 calls a day and 3 calls a week and a webinar every single night, how many people have you had on those calls and webinars? Now, don't shout it out. Don't tell me, but write it on the paper in front of you because I know you have notes. Because every time that I get on this call, I'm hearing that note takers are money makers, right? My mentor told me that he'd rather trust a short pencil than a long memory. So how many people have you had on the calls? It's July the 16th? How many people have you had on the webinar? How many people have you plugged into the call? And some of us, we are saying, well, I don't need the call, I don't need the webinar because, I can do this on my own. Well, if you could do it on your own, why aren't you Crown 3, right? So I want us to stop, humble ourselves, be open, be coachable. That is the baseline rule. Anytime that I move, think about it. If you can go to a company, make $1 million, then go to another company and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to forget what I know about having made that money so that I can learn this company, this system, figure out what, and watch the leaders, learn what the leaders are doing to make money so that I can plug into this system and then explode that system as well. That's how you have to move, right? Some of us have been around for a long time in this company and aren't really getting where we want to be. Now, if all you want to do is sell the product and you're just happy with that, perfect. But I'm talking to those who are serious about creating an additional income for you, for your family. You want to create legacy income. You want to create that residual income that will pay you long after you stop talking about Shop Free Mart products. That's who I'm talking to. So at the end, I just want to talk real briefly about contacting and inviting a little bit. But I'm telling you, that introduction touched every personality type that exists out there. Literally, I wish I almost want to just go back and replay it and pause it and talk to you about every personality type that was addressed. And maybe we could do that for another day this week. But anyway, I am Dr. Katrina Ferguson, and I am here on Tax Tuesday. As we promised last week, we talked about how to hire your children for some huge, huge tax benefits. And this week, we're talking about some how you can deduct from your taxes all healthcare expenses for your members of your family, all the healthcare expenses for all the members of your family. Now, understand every time that we do this call, your tax situation is your individual tax situation. I'm just giving you some of the possibilities so that when you talk with your personal tax preparer, your tax professional, you can ask them, hey, do I qualify for this? So that you know that it's out there and you can begin to ask those questions. That will also assist you in finding out whether or not you need to find a tax preparer or tax professional that specializes in what you do, right? So if I am a real estate investor, I'm probably not going to a tax preparer with no certification that specializes in simply W-2 preparation, right? You need to find someone who specializes in the type of tax situation or picture that you have for your life. Okay, so we're talking about your healthcare expenses. Now, we know that healthcare expenses have gone through the roof. They are absolute huge, huge financial burden on most household budgets, even for people who have good insurance, right? We have deductibles, we have co-pays, and health insurance companies have done that because the premiums are already so high, most families can't afford them. And then, of course, when you come in and the government says, if you don't have insurance, we're going to penalize you financially. Well, if I could afford insurance, then I'd have it. So how are you going to take more of my money because I don't? Well, it's just the way that works. So what's happened is that the insurance companies are removing a lot of health treatments and medical procedures from their list of covered procedures. So now we're paying for things like braces, orthodontics. We're paying for things like, all types of elective procedures. And then you've got like 30/70 plans where we pay 30% and The insurance company pays 70%, or like I had some lab work done. Surprise, surprise. We started paying copays for lab work. My lab work used to be 100% covered. Well, not in 2019. I'm paying 10%. Somebody should have sent me a note, right? So things are changing, and we're becoming more and more responsible for more of our healthcare expenses. Well, we are home-based business owners. Remember, we talked about the definition earlier in this process. We talked about how we show that to the IRS. We talked about the fact that our marketing plan is our business plan so that we can document the fact that we absolutely are in business. We talked about using the app to be able to prove that we are in business so that, we can document all of our expenses. So now, as actual business owners, we can begin to deduct all of the healthcare expenses for all of the members of our families, right? Now, we're going to talk about how to do that here just a moment. Think about this for a moment. If you have a child who has to have braces, what does that cost anywhere? Anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 or even more. And your dental coverage is only going to pay a small portion of that. So now you're on the hook for the full amount. You've either got to charge it, you've got to finance it, pay it out of your pocket in after-tax dollars. So, and you get no additional help from your health insurance company, right? And then think about the fact that a lot of us, especially in our company, we prefer more alternative measures. Like we like chiropractic care. We like to go to the acupuncturist. Who's paying for those? Most of the time, we're paying for that stuff out of pocket, unless you're fortunate enough to have an insurance plan that pays for that, in which case you're still paying the copays, or you got to pay that deductible, right? What about those? That big annual deductible, that amount of money that you have to pay starting in January out of pocket before your insurance even starts. Sometimes it's $1,500, $2,500, $5,000. I mean, you know what your deductible is. You go to the doctor and they're like, okay, well, your insurance won't cover anything until you pay the first X amount of dollars. Again, that's coming out of your after-tax money. And then, of course, there's the copay. You go to the doctor, you pay $35, and then the insurance has to pay. Okay, so there's always all of these health expenses. Now, a lot of people who come into my office, a lot of my clients have thought that health expenses were always deductible. And for taxpayers that don't have a home-based business, normally none of their healthcare expenses are deductible. Literally zero. But for taxpayers who do have a home-based business, normally only their monthly premiums are deductible, which is better than nothing. But, only that monthly premium can be deductible. And in order to get those out-of-pocket healthcare expenses covered, the first thing you have to do is you have to itemize your tax deduction, right? If you're not a home-based business owner, you have to itemize your tax deductions. Now, you can't use the standard option, which is, remember, now it moved to $12,200 for singles this year for the 2018 tax year, and $24,400 for the married people, right, for the 2018 tax year. So most people won't have much more than that, especially as a couple, $24,000 in deductions. So you end up taking the standard deduction, which means you do not itemize, which means that you don't qualify to write off those out-of-pocket health expenses. Those can only be claimed on a Schedule A. Secondly, even if you do file that Schedule A, the amount that you can claim is only 10% of your taxable income. Again, we're still talking about the 2018 tax year. So imagine, only 10%. So if your whole family's income is $70,000, then only the first $7,000 or 10%, well, the first $7,000 is not deductible. So only the expenses beyond that $7,000 become deductible. And they have to be taken on a Schedule A. So if you're not itemizing, you still can't take them. So you're responsible for the first $7,000, and if you're not itemizing, anything beyond that. So most of the time, those out-of-pocket expenses, including mileage, because you can write off mileage as well, medical mileage, are not deductible. So it's a problem unless and until you operate a home-based business or a small business. So let's talk about how it is that we can convert those medical costs from personal expenses to a legitimate business expense. And this is really awesome because I was able to help actually a family member this week who has some, she's planning some elective surgeries here in the near future. She was telling me what it was going to cost her out of pocket. And I was telling her how she could actually, this is actually the strategy that I was helping her work through so that she could actually write off these expenses for this elective surgery that she wanted to have. So we're going to talk about how to move these deductions from a Schedule A with that 10%, threshold problem to your Schedule C, where you're going to report your business and income expenses, okay, where there is not that threshold, there is not that problem. So you're not forced to itemize, basically. How do you qualify? There's two ways that we can qualify. Again, remember, I can't give you all the details in a call like this. I'm just letting you know enough that you can have an intelligent conversation and know that this is a true possibility. Okay, two ways. One is that you operate a for-profit business on a part-time basis, which we all do, and you also have to have one employee, right? Not zero and not more than one. And I'll tell you why you don't want to have more than one here in just a moment. And it's like, well, I don't have an employee. It's just me or me and my spouse. Sometimes my child works with me, but I don't really have any employees and I don't really want to have any employees. Well, let me share with you why you do want to have at least one employee. You do this by hiring your spouse as a part-time employee, okay? Or you can incorporate your business like we've talked about earlier, and the corporation can hire you yourself as the one employee. All right, let's talk about the spouse employee thing first. If you hire your spouse to work with you and you pay them, some type of an income, doesn't have to be a big one, you pay them some type of an income, then your employee can receive what? Some of you getting this, employee benefits right off the bat, right? And who determines what benefits are offered to your employees? Of course, you do, the employer. So you can decide to offer an employee benefit, which is tax deductible to you as the employer as a business expense. So now the value of your employee benefit to your spouse is tax-free to you as the employer. Think about that. So let's say that you decide that the employee benefit you want to offer is a self-insured medical expense reimbursement plan, right? Which is the IRS calls it an HRA, a health reimbursement arrangement. See, the stuff that I'm telling you is totally legal. It's totally legitimate. Someone once said, if you want to hide something from someone, put it in a book. Well, the biggest book that they hide stuff in is the IRS code, right? Nobody wants to sit back and read it. Neither do I. So I let other people read it, and then I go to seminars, and I look for what I need to know, the parts that we need to know to benefit us as small business owners, and that's where we specialize. So the HRA, okay, and you establish the HRA with a legal document that we provide for all of our clients, says that you can reimburse your employee for qualified out-of-pocket health-related expenses. And who determines what those expenses are? You do. So what just happened? You found a legal way to get that tax deduction for every penny of health-related out-of-pocket expenses for you and the members of your immediate family. Why? Because it's your spouse and your spouse's family members that are covered under the plan. This is why you don't want to have more than one employee, because if you offer this to your one employee spouse, you have to offer it to all of your employees. So you may have to have a separate corporation you have to have more than one employee that is set up this way so that you can do that for your employee and not have to offer it to every employee in your company. Okay, again, get with your personal tax professional, have the conversation to see exactly how this works in your tax scenario. So think about this. This benefit can increase your tax refund and decrease your tax liability, by thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, literally on average about $6,000, just this one deduction. If we talked about the deductions as we've come out with them over this short session of, over these weekly calls, I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars that we've been able to deduct. That's about $500 a month in tax savings That's a car payment, maybe a part of your office rent, or pay down some debt, whatever you need to do. Pay that. It'll even offset the premium that you're paying for your health insurance. So there are some specific steps that you have to go through to hire your spouse as an employee, because you're going to have to prove, if the IRS would ask, you would have to prove that your spouse is a bona fide employee, and that there is a bona fide employer-employee relationship. So you want to do that. If you and your spouse are carrying the business together and you both share in the profits and losses, the IRS could possibly consider your business a spousal partnership, which would mean that you couldn't take advantage of this. So definitely you would have to look at that and keep that under consideration, which is why we would want to look at maybe the other option, which would be to set up a corporation and make you the employee. So we could look at that as well. So we would have to set up an HRA, and there's some steps that you have to go through to do that. And like I said, your tax professional can do just what we do for our clients, which is take you through that process, and then get you all set up to do that. Isn't that awesome? I was blown away when I realized that I could write off more than just the premiums, and then, go have that cosmetic surgery, go to the chiropractor like I like to go to. I love acupuncture, so now I can actually deduct those expenses as well. Make sure, though, you've got to have that official company policy in writing, and you want to make sure that you have, signed employment agreements like we talked about before, and all of the other steps to make sure that that spouse is an actual employee. But let's look at some of the things that you can actually write off. You can even write off nutritional supplements, vitamins, herbs, natural remedies. They can be included as reimbursable healthcare expenses if you have a licensed medical healthcare provider that has examined the patient or employee and declared that it's a medical necessity. For instance, sometimes my acupuncturist will quote unquote prescribe certain herbs and say, well, this will help you, this will help you, this will help you, this will help you. Well, that makes those things now, because they give them written to you on a little slip, right? Take a picture of it, upload it into your app so you have the documentation. Now that makes it medically necessary, and it can be reimbursed under that HRA, okay? If you're retired and have excellent health care insurance, well, even though Medicare will cover the bulk of your health care costs after you turn 65, you're still going to have some out-of-pocket expenses that are not covered. I know I deal with this with my dad all the time, whether it's glasses or false teeth or, pain management, implants, smoking cessation programs, massage therapy, if you got to have crutches or wheelchairs, if you have skin removal surgery after you lose a lot of weight, because we are all taking our hydration drops and losing weight, getting to that lean mass of our bodies. You may have to have some skin removal surgery. Well, you can write all of that off as a deduction under this HRA, okay? You can also write off long-term health care costs. Those are covered as well, all right? So there's a lot of deductions that are available there. Now, to be a bona fide employee, that spouse has to work approximately, are you ready for this? 100 hours a year. That's like 2 hours a week. 2 hours a week to be a bona fide employee. I'm sure we could find a way to hire our spouses for 2 hours a week. There are material participation guidelines. It's just a win-win. Like, you've got to do this. As a home-based business owner, you have to do this. Otherwise, you're going to continue giving your money to the IRS when you don't have to. And we established last week that we are going to pay what's owed, but not a penny more, right? Now, what if hiring your spouse is not an option? Okay, if you don't have a spouse and that's not your option, you've got two other alternatives. You can incorporate your business as a C Corp, okay, or if you can form an LLC, but you have to be taxed as a C Corp. And because the law has shifted, you have to have a second member of that LLC, regardless of whether it's a spouse or not. You can do it that way as well, and then kind of step up and have the same benefits that we just talked about. So you can actually still take advantage, if you don't have a spouse, by setting up a corporation. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you guys this week. Next week, we'll talk about another key to one of your biggest tax deductions, which is your auto expenses. We're going to talk about the biggest tax deduction being in your ignition. I don't know. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and do this real quickly. I want to talk about this because I'm doing the 12 o'clock recruiting call today. Okay. So let's talk about real quickly how to get some people on the actual phone call. I think what's happening out there, a lot of times is when we talk to people about Shopping Mart, because we are such givers, we are giving them so much information that they don't feel like they need to get on the call and hear anything else, right? We have to say less to more people, okay? We have to say less to more people, meaning you want to be excited, you want to have high energy, making a note, you want to have super high energy, you want to just be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this this company. I'm excited about this product. Tell them what it's done for you. Tell them why you're excited about it. And then say, you know what, matter of fact, we're going to have a brief call today that's going to talk about how it works. Well, today's not going to be a product call. Today's going to be more of a why choose this business call. So if you know someone who has let's say they have a financial problem, right? Well, who doesn't in 2019? Okay, there are few people who couldn't stand to earn an extra $100 a day, a week, a month, right? If I could show you how to create an additional $100 a day, a week, a month, whatever it is, would you want to know about it, right? Or you could simply say, look, I have a goal. Can you help me reach my goal? I'm in a contest. I got to get 10 people to listen to this information. It's only going to be about 15 minutes. You may or may not be interested. Can I count on you to be one of my 10? Great. Okay, this is the number that we're going to dial in on. And then just get them to dial in and listen. And then afterward, you call them and you say, what did you like most about what you heard? What the problem is we're trying to tell them, okay, this is how the comp plan works. This is how the products work. This is how the company works. When the call is already doing all that for you. You know, we used to train people, if your mouth is moving, you need to be pointing to a tool. Tools are what get people started. If you are the tool, the people have to like you. They have to understand what you're saying. They have to like your communication style. Your breath has to be fresh. They have to like your clothes, right? There's a whole lot that has to go right for people to want to hear from you, to receive what you have to say. But what if you just, instead of standing in front of them, trying to be the authority, telling them what to do, what if you stand beside them and the two of you together look at the information or listen to the information? What if you were to get them on the phone and then three-way them into that live phone call? What if you called and said, look, let's listen to this together, because I'm really thinking about using this to create some income to pay for little Johnny's college. Let me know what you think. Ask for their help. I mean, anything other than you being the authority will help you to get people on this call. You know, there's a lady out of the Florida marketplace, out of the Florida area, who's made a lot of money. She loves to help people. I mean, she's a lot of fun. She understands the information 100%. But what I like most about her, she's really down to earth. And she's going to be at 12 noon. She's going to be sharing with us why and how to choose a company. And that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to choose a company. I know we were talking about making some extra money. I'm trying to figure out how to choose a company to be a part of so that I can create money for my retirement. We should get on the call with me. I'm going to call you at 5 minutes till so we can get on the call together and listen to this information. We'll talk about it afterwards. Right? Okay, cool. And then you just call them 5 minutes before and three-way them into the call. It's that simple. But simple, it's easy to do, but it's easy not to do, right? Because we want to say, well, this is how it works. Well, let's get on the call. Well, after you've told them how it works, getting on the call is not even important at all right? So you have to always make those calls, but when you make the call, be busy. Because if you're not busy, then they're going to ask you questions. Well, tell me, what is it about? Tell me what it's about. Well, I mean, I'm busy. I got a couple other calls I have to make beforehand. We'll get on the call together at 12 and we'll hear about it at the same time. Right? Always be too busy to tell them. If you call and say, hey, Susie, how are you? How are the kids? John is good? Yeah, well, then you're not busy enough and you're going to have time, if she asks you questions, to give her all the information. But if you say, hey, Susie, I only have a couple of minutes. Remember how we were talking about creating some additional income? Well, I just heard about a call that's happening at noon today, and they're going to be talking about how to choose a company, and I'm super excited about it. And I was, hey, why don't you join me? 5 minutes till we'll listen to it together and we can talk afterward, okay? Cool. I'm going to go right now. I got a couple things I got to do, but I'll call you at 5 till so we can three-way in. And that's what? Susie will pick up the phone at 5 till, you three-way in, and you listen to the information. Afterward, ask Susie, what did you like most about what you heard? Whatever she says. I like the fact that you got great products. Awesome. You know what? That's what I like too. Because I've used this product. This is my quick product testimonial. And there are people using this product all over the country. That's that. Are you in front of your computer, Susie? Let me show you the website where you can get your own product. Oh, well, I like the idea of being able to make additional income. Really, Susie, me too. Because like we said, I got to send Johnny to college. So I was able to create an extra $500 in my first month involved. But there's a gentleman who has earned over X amount of dollars in his first 30 days. Matter of fact, reached the top position in the entire company. And he's literally going to be doing a webinar tonight telling people how to do the same thing. So let's plug into that. And then we can maybe even get him on the phone and strategize to see how we build it for ourselves. Like literally, okay? So be busy. Don't give them the details. That is the biggest note you need to know is don't give them the details, right? Always invite them to watch the video, watch a tool, watch the webinar, get on a call, go to the website. If your mouth is moving, you've got to be pointing to a tool, right? Always get a commitment and then get off the phone, right? And then follow up because the fortune is in the follow-up, right? Confirm them, get them on the webinar, get them on that recruiting call, and then afterward follow up with that question, what did you like most? And still, as much as you'll be tempted, do not get caught up in the weeds and the details. Let the experts do it. Let the tools, think about this. All of the tools have been designed to help you build your business, to help you sell the product. The millions of dollars have been spent putting this whole system together so that you could build this huge dynasty of a company and a business. And you've got to use those because guess what? We don't have all the answers. So that's what it's gonna take. So hopefully that will help you to get more people on the line at noon. Dr. Stan, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the call back to you. And thanks again for having me.
Wow.